Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen with the Tough Eggs. Today we're taking a look at the first fighter ever shown inside the game, the venerable F-7C Hornet. Now, it's been nearly a decade since this ship was unveiled with its green and white paint job launching from a Bengal carrier. In that time, newer, sleeker and harder hitting fighters have been introduced, but the Hornet can still comfortably hold its own. The ship we have today within the PTU is the civilian model of the UEE Navy's premier medium fighter. Being bred for combat, the ship comes in a variety of loadouts and seat configurations. Today, we'll be focusing specifically on the F-7CM Super Hornet, which is the twin-seat variant of the craft. Let's be real, it's Star Citizen's version of the F-14 Tomcat. Granted, it's called a Super Hornet, but those swept wings shout Tomcat. Once you climb inside the cockpit, that rugged fighter feel is very well maintained. The cockpit struts aren't intrusive, and if anything, it makes you feel like you've jumped into the cockpit of the Viper from Battlestar Galactica. The ship is also plenty manoeuvrable, capable of pitching at 55 degrees per second, yawing at 50 degrees per second, and rolling at 117 degrees per second, all combined with a max speed of 1,228 kilometers per hour. This means the ship can definitely move. These certainly aren't the best statistics in the game, but they are more than enough to ensure her hard-hitting weapons loadout can easily stay on target. Speaking of loadouts, the Hornet can sport pretty much anything, featuring 3 size 3 fixed and a singular size 4 gimbaled mount. You can run the ship as a close-range brute running 4 scatterguns, a nimble Hammerhead hunter with mixed attritions, or you can pretend you're strapped into a Viper and run ballistic weapons. To further bolster this ship's weapons array, it is fitted with size 3 missile racks, allowing for a limited array of ordnance to be mounted. With the upcoming missile operator mode, your second seat player will be able to launch more effective missile attacks. The ship also rocks a comfortable component selection with 2 size 1 shields, allowing you to gain both impressive ballistic protection and a higher HP pool. Slated to have increased armor protection over other fighters in the game, the Hornet also has a larger base hit point pool of 10,700, which is around 50% better than a Buccaneer. With the basic ship stats covered, let's take a look into my current build. This is my day-to-day bounty hunting build with the Hornet, which is capable of taking down hammerheads if flown correctly. I am running 3 fixed size 3 attritions and a single size 4 salvation distortion scattergun. When overclocked, this build produces 6,522 DPS when at ranges of 300 meters or less. To increase the Hornet's survivability, I'm combining the ballistic protection of a Guardian with the HP and shield regen of an FR66, providing 13,000 hit points in shields and an impressive regen rate of 711 hit points a second. Now, this is a power-hungry build, so messing with stealth components isn't an option in this case. I have opted for a JS300 power plant, a snowblind and glacier cooler, and lastly the tried and tested Atlas QT drive. This creates a ship that can take on any opponent, with the exception being an Idris, and rightly so. With this setup you'll also be able to traverse the verse in 1 tank of gas. However, if you're not looking to take on hammerheads, feel free to swap the scattergun with a size 4 attrition or 2 size 2 distortion repeaters for a bit more range and flexibility. I have added a link in the description of the video with 3 possible Hornet builds, all of which are completely viable, with the last really putting across that Battlestar theme. With the builds being covered, let's see how the Hornet handles some combat. I am in the process of getting to grips with my new HOSAS setup, so the flying won't be incredible. Please find it within your hearts to forgive me. But I would really recommend picking up a pair of grips. I'm running a pair of VKB Gladiators, but a set of Thrustmaster T16000s would do the job just as well. The added immersion and gameplay value are more than worth the small drop in accuracy. With the large main thruster and 8 additional manoeuvring thrusters, the Hornet can be thrown about. Not as much as an arrow, but comfortable enough that you can negate incoming fire, something you'll want to get a handle on when engaging hammerheads, as those 24 laser repeaters certainly pack a punch. As with any dogfight, you want to keep your guns on the enemy as long as possible, ensuring you dupe their shots in the meantime. When the distance has been closed, the DPS output of this build really comes to shine. the scattergun can whittle down shields fairly rapidly whilst also damaging components, then the overclocked and overheated attritions can strip away the exposed hull plating, destroying the ship.
Warning, weapon system overheating. Check fire.
With this build, bounty targets up to VHRT are a breeze, with the only somewhat pesky targets being groups of hurricanes, as scatterguns can cause serious damage to your ship. Honestly though, the most dangerous part of bounty hunting currently is desync and invisible asteroids. There's nothing scarier than a collision alert warning quickly followed by a random explosion that you can't avoid. Engaging hammerheads is where the challenge starts to increase, however. They require a good amount of skill to engage effectively. Firstly, you'll want to close that distance as fast as possible. Remember, your ship can outrun and change its velocity a lot quicker than a hammerhead, so put that thruster pedal to the floor and boost towards your target. Once you are within effective weapon range, open up with everything you have. In this instance, I'm running an all energy setup, therefore I will need to completely strip the shields of the hammerhead in order to deal direct damage to it. You'll want to try and focus your damage as concisely as possible, ensuring your rounds impact a singular shield facing or as few shield facings as possible. At the same time, you'll also want to continue moving, always rolling your ship, changing your angle of attack. This will stop the AI turret gunners in the hammerhead from effectively tracking you, which can save your life. When tracking a particular shield facing, pay attention to the target display within your ship. This will indicate the enemy ship's shield strength. Also, with the introduction of STF shield tech, the shield impacts themselves and associated colour can pinpoint the weakest area of the enemy's shields. After a few seconds of concentrated fire, that shield will go down. At that point, unload as much damage as possible. Attritions pack a punch. Coupled with the distortion damage, you can easily bring down the target. Just watch out for any friends the bounty target might spawn, as having an additional 2 hammerheads gunning for you isn't the most fun of experiences. One last thing to note is there's currently a glitch with the Hornet. When it spawns on some pads it likes to jump around a bit, so just bear that in mind. All in all, however, the Hornet, whilst old, still shines. Her weapon package is best in class, though some of her attributes are still hindered by the older design layout. The biggest problem the Hornet faces is that it's not the F7A variant, which provides a +1 increase to the size of each weapon hardpoint. But we'll have to wait for Squadron 42 to get our hands on that little beast. Thank you for watching the video again today, guys. I have more content planned in the future, including some more definitive guides. If you'd like to see any of this content, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps the videos reach a wider audience. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.